Michael, you want to be living, right? Eduardo, sure. Michael, okay then, listen. In your past life, you ruined many people's lives, either directly or indirectly. You don't even know some of them died because of you. We picked three people in your life history. You caused those people to have a bad destiny. Now is your chance in here. You'll go back to those three separate times and repair the damages you gave in their lives. Michael looked at Eduardo to see his reaction once he completed his words. Eduardo was sweating and looked curious about what Michael would talk about soon. Eduardo wanted to know what people Michael was talking about. He broke the silence. Go ahead. Michael, do you remember the name Tiago? Eduardo repeated in surprise. Tiago? Michael, what city did you live in when you were in high school? The question lit up a bulb in Eduardo's mind. He replied, Cantanuva. Michael, good Eduardo. So, now do you remember Tiago? Eduardo, yes, he was my buddy. Michael, you have just graduated from high school that night. Tiago borrowed his father's motorcycle. You took a ride at the back and went downtown. You were drunk. Right then, Michael stopped telling and wanted to make sure if Eduardo was following him. He continued, Are you following? Eduardo, yes, it's not so clear, but I remember that night. Michael, on the way back home, something happened. Do you remember? Eduardo smiled and said, Yes, we saw that girl walking alone. Tiago was crazy. He stopped the motorbike and shouted at the girl. I remember he said, Do you want to take a ride, baby? The girl was a real chick. She called Tiago an idiot and went on walking away. So Tiago got offended. He grabbed the girl's arm. The girl told him to stop it. Tiago slapped the girl and she fell down. Michael, you both took the girl to the woods, and you took turns at raping her. All night long. Michael yelled in a robust tone. Do you remember this part of the story? Eduardo, yes. Michael asked, What happens next? Eduardo, I remember I had a terrible headache the following morning. Michael interrupted in a mad tone. A headache? Is that all you remember? Didn't you wonder what happened to the girl? Have you not felt any penance? Eduardo, look, I was wrong, okay? I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, she was a countryside girl. I'm sure she should have found a guy and forgotten what happened that night. Michael interrupted. Yes, it's true that a guy found her in the woods in the following morning. He was not her husband, but her father, though. The girl was only 14 years old. Eduardo jumped in. Really? She looked more mature to me. Michael, she used to live in a small area where everybody knew each other. She never wanted to know this way by others there. She could not make it through. 3 months after that night, she left a note in her house and dropped it herself down a cliff outside the town. In the note she left, she wrote, Dad, I'm sorry. I did not want it to happen that way. I see those bastards wherever I turn my face, and the police could not seize them yet. I cannot live with this pain anymore. I'm sure my mom is already waiting for me there. Eduardo looked surprised at the sad ending. He dropped his head down and looked down at the floor. Michael continued, You know what? I prayed to God to give her another chance. He told me, Be patient. Now, I see he wanted me to wait to this day. And I also see he gave her another chance. And to my surprise, he gave you another chance too. This was not my wish, though. Eduardo kept his silence. He could be inconsiderate, or rather reckless, however, he never really wanted to do something on purpose to others. Michael went on, saying, By the way, her dad did not live long after her death. Almost 1 month later, they found him hung at a stable. He stopped and asked, Oh man, why? Eduardo looked suffering from the pain. He raised his head and asked, What do you want me to do to fix it? I'm ready for that. Eduardo saw the window of the living room open itself, followed a wind wave going through the window. Everything in the room started moving. It was like a violent quake. He was like spinning around a whirlpool. Just when he started feeling dizzy, everything around disappeared and a pure darkness followed it. Eduardo opened his eyes into a speedy parade of trees and sky. He ended up riding a motorbike at the back. The person in from him was shouting at him, Eduardo, be careful, we will fall. Eduardo found him in a shaking deja vu. Right then, he figured out he was going through a new chance. Yes, he went right back to that night that stuck into his past. But he was resolute in fixing the mistake he made already. He realized Tiago slowed down. Tiago asked, Do you want to take a ride, baby? The girl called Tiago an idiot and went on walking away. As expected, Tiago got offended and grabbed the girl's arm. This moment was Eduardo's last chance to go in between. Eduardo approached Tiago's right ear and whispered, "Tiago, can we have a short talk?" Tiago looked at Eduardo and asked, "What are we going to talk about?" Eduardo stepped ahead and called him. "Can you come here for a sec?" He did not want the girl to hear what he would say. Tiago went to Eduardo and waited for his talk. Eduardo, "Tiago, don't you see she's a stupid 14-year-old girl?" Tiago, "How do you know she's 14?" Eduardo paused and replied, "I just guessed. She is either 13 or 14. Tiago, "But she called me an idiot, man." Eduardo, "Forget about it, Tiago. After all, we need to hurry, because we are late for home." Tiago looked at Eduardo and said, "Okay, you're right." When they rode the motorbike, Eduardo looked at the sky at the back and smiled. Tiago. Tiago, "Yes?" Eduardo, "Did I tell you? Today is my birthday." Michael was watching everything from behind a tree. He snapped his fingers and a light flashed. Eduardo saw Michael again when the room light got stable in the room. Michael broke the silence. "Good job, Eduardo." Eduardo, "You saw it?" Michael, "Yes." Eduardo said in a hurried way, "Okay, who's next?" Michael gave a smile. "Okay, now I see you are ready for the second test." Eduardo, "As ready as never before." Michael, "This time we will go back to your early days when you moved to New York." Eduardo, "You know I came to the States after I won the lottery." Eduardo, "Yes, I do." Eduardo, "I got a person's name from one of my friends in Sao Paulo. He said, 'Vicente will help you once you arrive there.' Vicente was paperless, and he used to stay with 3 other people in the same apartment in Jackson Heights. I joined him, and I share one of the rooms with Vicente." Michael, "Do you remember anything you did wrong to Vicente?" Eduardo raised his head. "Yes, I stole money. I could not find a job for a long time, and I had to pay for the rent." Michael, "Tell me more." Eduardo, "I knew where he hid his money in his room. In a time I needed to buy a pack of cigarettes, I got all his money and left the apartment. I never went back there." Michael, "Didn't you ever wonder what happened to him next?" Eduardo, "Look, I did not want to give him trouble, but I used to live in a world where the rules were in favor of the strong. Now, can you tell me what happened to him?" To be continued.